Okay, so today we're making a tier list of all of the Idolmaster episodes from the original 2011 anime adaptation. This doesn't include the OVAs or the movie or Cinderella Girls series, just the original 2011 series, okay? So the Idolmaster, it's a great show. It's one of my favorites. I've rewatched it like 3 times by now. So I know all of the episodes. It's really kind of like I really recommend it even if you don't watch idol anime, you don't like idol anime. This is one of the best. It's really well animated and has a lot of character. It's just you can really tell the creators put a lot of passion behind the project, right? So we're gonna go ahead and rank all of the 25 episodes of the original series, okay? Going in order. So let's go. Number 1, episode 1. This is where the girls start. This is the introductory episode where you're in like a first-person view, and we're ostensibly making like a documentary about the idol agency, right? So it has like this introduction of all the different characters, and you go around seeing their day-to-day lives. This one, I think it's a pretty innovative idea for the first episode, where to also introduce like the main character, where you kind of think that he's gonna be like the silent main character, or you don't really know what's going on in episode 1 with the format it's going, and then at the end it's revealed that it was actually just the producer trying to get to know his idols. Okay. Oh, by the way, there's obviously going to be spoilers for the entire series. This one, I think, is going to be... This one I'm going to have to put at, like, a A. Just because of the format of it kind of limits it a little bit. You have to introduce, like, 11 characters, and they all have to get their, like, own little snippets. And it's the first time seeing them, so it's kind of limited by that. You're not gonna get to see them too much, with too much, I guess you're not gonna see too much depth to them. But I like the concept. I think it's a really cool concept. That puts it already in A for me. Episode 2, the girls start preparing. This is the photo shoot episode with, Iori being insecure about her, her appearance. And she drags in Yayoi and the twins. And this is kind of like, this is a pretty one-note episode where they kind of have, the premise is one joke, right? And then it's just throughout the entire episode. I think that this one is not one of the stronger ones, mostly because Yuri is actually more interesting of a character than this, and this is supposed to be her episode, and they kind of focused on this aspect of her that's very cliched and not really showing the best side of her. And it also drags along these like other characters who are also more complex and interesting than this. And it's just it just feels like it was dragged on too long, right? This was one of those episodes where it's like, this is what you think of when you think of like cliche idol show episode. It's just the setup for you've seen it a million times, right? Insecure about their body, and then they try way too hard. It just stretches too long. I think this is a D tier. Episode 3, everything starts with one courageous step. This is the episode with the first show that 765 has booked in like the small mountain village, and this is the Yukiho episode, where she has to get over her fear of men and dogs and perform. This one, the first time I saw this episode, I think I didn't like it very much, mostly because I think this is kind of like episode 2, where it's just one storyline that's kind of stretched out to fill an entire episode, and I don't think it's a very interesting one. Again, the Yukiko being scared of men is kind of like an old cliche at this point, and it just, nothing much else happens in it. But then the second time I watched it, I kind of realized that the aspect of like everyone in the agency either renting out a van or going in the company van and bringing like all of their own equipment to like this remote mountain village. This is like their first show. They have to do everything themselves. There's no roadies. There's no setup crew. The girls are there setting up their own stuff, getting their own costumes, and messing up, right? And then they're actually also helping the villagers cook. I think that part of it is actually really interesting. It's just like kind of, it's like small time musician feels, right? It's you just like trying setting up your own show and going on like this almost road trip like ish thing with your band. It's just kind of like, it's small time musician stuff. It's really, really comfy and nostalgic for me. So I think I'm gonna put it in C. It's a good episode. I like it. After having rewatched it, but just not up there with some of the better ones, I think. Episode 4, That Changes Who I Am. This is the cooking show episode. It's Chihaya's first episode, where she has to get over her shyness of performing on TV for something that's not music related. I like the idea of the episode. I like the idea of like this, well, not everything is gonna be what you want when you go be an idol, right? It's work. You're gonna have to do things you don't like. But I don't think the execution was that great. I think of course the show itself, like the show within the show, the cooking show that they're on, it's supposed to be cringy, right? It's supposed to be like not the greatest, but I think they overdid it maybe just a little bit. And this one, although it does have Chihaya singing by herself, you know, without any backing accompaniment, so that's a good one. And I mean, this episode's just one of the fine ones. I like the concept. I don't think the execution was that great. And I think Chihaya's, well, I mean, this is like a character establishing moment for Chihaya, right? She likes to sing. She doesn't want to be doing stuff that's not singing. Next, episode 5, Spending Summer Vacation with Everyone. This episode is an easy S. Easy S. And this is actually one of the more important episodes, even though it doesn't seem like it at first. Only after you watch like all of the series, like the ending of it, do you understand that this is a setup episode for like 20 episodes later. It seems like a slice of life episode where the air conditioning's broken, so everyone in the agency goes to take a vacation while the air conditioner's fixed. So they go to a beach. And this one is really, really important in the end, because this is like establishing the nostalgia. This is establishing the good old times. This is the good old times episode, where everyone still has time to hang out and be a team, be almost like a family together, you know. And they're thinking about what would happen in the future. And in the future, they think about this time, and they go, man, it was great, you know, when we could still be a family together, right? And this is like, this is so subtle, because you don't realize that anything is being set up at the first time you watch this, right? But at the end of it, you come back and you watch this episode and you think, it's so good. It's just setting up for 20 episodes later, and it's the rest of it is just, you know, everyone having fun. You get to see a lot of character interactions between different groups, which is one thing Idolmaster does really well, is that they pair the characters in like these groups, and the groups change like every episode. So you get to see interactions between like a wide variety of characters and a wide variety of groups, but it doesn't feel like they're always stuck to that group, right? It feels like they're an actual team of like 11 instead of like in later series, like in Cinderella Girls, you'll see like Kirari and Anzu are always, they're always together. They're just a group, right? But this is different. You get to see in the 2011 series, you get to see a lot of them in different groups. So they feel like a cohesive unit. But they're not, they're stuck in the same group for like that one episode, so you actually remember their interactions instead of it just being, forgettable. So this is an easy S, episode 5. Next, episode 6, the decision to continue forward. This is the Ryugu Komachi episode, sort of. This is the first appearance of Ryugu Komachi. This is also the episode where the producer makes a mistake booking everyone else trying to catch up and double books. This one, I like this one because this is not a character-focused episode. This is kind of just like story progression episode, but it feels it feels very natural when it's not just like focusing on one singular character. There's a lot of good character-focused episodes, but some of them I think tried a little too hard to force like, we're focusing on this character and this one issue, right? This episode is not that. It's spread out between many characters, and it's advancing the plot while being very natural and very like slice of lifey at the same time. I think that this one does a really good job. I would put this in, I think, B. There's some good moments in it, like Miki learning the dance within like 30 seconds. But yeah, I think this is a B. I think it does what it needs to do very well. Next, episode 7, things you love, things that are important. This is the Iori and Yayoi episode. This is the one where they go to Yayoi's house and eat dinner with her family, and Yayoi's brother runs away. This one, I think this is a really, really good episode. It's a character-focused episode. It's supposed to be Yayoi's episode, but Iori almost gets more development out of it than Yayoi does. I think that the scripting writing for this episode was just really, really good. It makes full use of like the premise. It could have just been, like Yayoi's family situation, like giving background on who she is, but it also manages to use that same premise to develop Iori, and I think that that's really cool how they did this. And yeah, it's just a really, really good episode. The scenes with Iori with Yayoi's family is really good. I think this episode was better for Iori than her own episode, which is kind of insane, right? I think this is an easy S tier. It also gave us Hibiki riding on like this tiny tricycle, which of course is an image everyone loves. Episode 8. This is banger after banger here. This is the indirect route to happiness. This is the Azusa episode with the bride. This is just kind of like, this episode was really different from a lot of the other episodes. It kind of felt like a dream sequence throughout, right? And there's this like there's two scenes that keep switching between, right? There's Azusa trying to find her way while dressed as a bride, being lost, and then there's Makoto and the producer trying to chase to her and getting into a fight with like the bride's bodyguards. This one, and the way it brings the finale together with everyone chasing everyone, in this big finale. It feels movie-like. It feels, like this one really is just inspired writing. I think everyone loves this one, and I love this one. I think this episode is also an S tier episode, but I don't think it's the best one. It does require you to suspend some of your disbelief. But yeah, episode 8, the bride episode, S tier. Next, episode 9, things you can do as two. This is hit after hit here with this series of episodes. So this This is the mystery episode, with the twins trying to solve the mystery of who ate the pudding. This one I really like because it's really fun. This is just a really fun episode. You can tell everyone involved in making this one had a lot of fun. From the script to like the cinematography with the cuts to the movie that the twins are in, or the movie that I think it's Ami is in, right? The Ryugu Komachi's movie. It's just really fun. I think that the way they kind of structured this, like a detective drama, with the framing of the episode, like you'll have like these shots of like the dark shaded stairway outside of the agency office where you overhear Makoto saying suspicious things, and then it cuts directly to like an interrogation. I think that this is really fun. You could tell they had fun making this. I think the imitation of like the detective movies is really fun. Yeah, this is just all the characters show a lot of personality in this. I think this is an S tier episode. Easily. Episode 9 is an S tier episode. Next one. Moving forward a little bit with everyone. This, episode 10, this is the kind of television sports events episode, with everyone being in like this track and field meet for celebrities that's going to be broadcast on TV. I think this one is a little bit, it's definitely very different. This also has like the crossover with the other agency, the 876, the 876 production agent, Idols. So you get to see those girls and guy. This one I think is a little bit weak. A lot of the episode is kind of spent developing these villains that they're only seen here for this one episode. And then also a lot of it is Yayoi crying, which of course she doesn't deserve anything that happened to her, but it does kind of drag on a little bit. The other thing is this one doesn't really have too much screen time or development for anyone other than like Makoto, Yayoi, Iori. But the one good thing about this episode is it gave us the scene of Iori blackmailing the other company's president or producer with her family's influence, which was badass. That scene is very, very good. It cements Iori as being an excellent character. This one, episode 10, I think we're gonna give it a B. It's okay. It has some good scenes, like the blackmail scene, but it's just a little bit. It's not too interesting. Episode 10, B. Okay, episode 11, Hopes, Uncertainties, and Signs. This is the setup episode, I guess, for the Miki episode. There's also some setup for the kind of first season finale, the midway finale. Also has quite a bit of development for Chihaya and Haruka, right? And their friendship. This is the episode with all of the idols being told that they're gonna have a concert. Chihaya is shown with her living alone in her apartment. We have Miki having this misunderstanding that she would be able to join Ryugu Komachi. This episode is just kind of like tying up a lot of loose ends and setting up a bunch of new plot threads for moving forward. It's not really a character-focused one. This is kind of like an everyone episode again. I like it fine. I think that the parts with Chihaya living alone are pretty important for the series as a whole. Obviously, it's going to set up the Miki plotline. I think this episode does its job well. It's decently fun. I think episode 11 B tier. Episode 12. This is the Miki episode. A goal with a one-way path. This is the episode with Miki deciding to quit because of the misunderstanding, and then the producer chasing her around. Basically, they end up kind of having a pseudo date-ish around the shopping district. This one, I think, is maybe a little bit weak because episode 12, it's kind of, again, it's one of these episodes where one issue is like the main focus of it, and it's just stretched throughout the whole episode to fill the time. There's not a lot going on in the background other than like this main conflict. I think I like the episodes that have like multiple threads of conflict, or even just like funny background events, right, going on in the background of like the main conflict. This one, I think it's not that great. It's nice showing Miki and different sides of Miki, but it's a lot of Miki interacting with the producer and not a lot of the idols interacting with each other, and it just doesn't hit quite right. I'm gonna give episode 12 a D. Episode 13, the first season finale, the midway point. This is And So the Girls Rise to the Shining Stage. Episode 13 is the concert episode. This is the one where Ryugu Komachi is delayed and everyone else has to fill time, even though they're not the main event. This is also the conclusion of Miki's redemption arc. This is the first time we see a proper concert being animated, and the animators went all out. Like, the concert scenes in this episode are just really, really good, and they're hand-drawn, which is just... Even nowadays, even in the present 2011, or 2021, you know, the hand-drawn concert scenes for idol shows are just nowhere to be seen. And back in 2011, this had an incredible hand-drawn concert scene, and it's just a really good episode. It has Miki's redemption arc in it. Miki going song after song after song with dance routines. Heart of a Marionette. It was just really, really good. It's a really satisfying conclusion to her arc. It's a really satisfying story beat for that episode. It's a really good midpoint of the season kind of episode. It's a really good wrapping up of the first core. It's emotional without being too heavy. Yeah, it's just a really fun episode. I think episode 13, A tier episode. Next, episode 14, The World That Began to Change. This one is the one that is kind of hitting the reset button. You know, after the concert, everyone gets more popular. This is like showing us the new world for everyone, right? Some of the idols have to wear disguises. You know, we're introducing some of the new story plot threads in the second half of it. We're introducing Jupiter. We're introducing 961 Productions. We're introducing, like, you know, the slander coming from Kuroi. This one is a lot of setup for the second half of the show. So I think that's it does its job well. So it's gonna go in C. This is just kind of like a reset point. You know, it's like kind of consolidating what we know and then giving us, okay, here's where we start from the second core onwards. This is the story that's going to be happening from now on. I think it does its job well. Episode 14, C tier episode. Episode 15, Everyone Together. It's a live broadcast. This is the show within a show episode, the variety show episode, Namaska Sunday. This is a really good episode. This is my favorite episode, actually. It's just kind of slice of life, but it's this is like a love letter from all of the staff that worked on this show to the fans that already existed from like the video game, the arcade game, but also to just people who have picked it up to themselves. You could tell they had a lot of fun on this. The entire episode is crammed with, you know, like these niche references to the arcade games or to, you know, character profiles that, and to people who didn't know about any of that, it's kind of introducing it as well. It's a lot of in-jokes. It's just good variety, slice of life, tons of interactions, really, really good jokes too. Like the Ami and Mami segment, or you know the movie trailer segment was really, really, really fun. This is just every 2 minutes you will be laughing. It's impossible to not have fun with this episode. I love it. It's my favorite episode. I think it's an easy S tier for episode 15. Next, episode 16, How It Feels to Be All Alone. Oh boy, okay. So, this is the Hibiki episode, Hibiki and her pets. This one I think is universally pretty disliked, and I can see the reasons why. Up until this point, it's all been, you know, fairly normal stuff, right? You don't have to suspend your disbelief a lot. It's a lot of artistic licenses being taken, but none to the point of this episode, where Hibiki's pets just straight up talk to her, like as if they could speak human language or something. Hibiki understands them, you know, like I get what they were going for, you know, it's kind of cute, the first time, but the fact that the whole conflict of the episode is resolved through like this pets talking to her kind of stuff, it's like, it's not really hitting the right points there for me. It asks you to suspend disbelief a little bit too much. The villain's actions in this episode are kind of like extremely cartoonish. This feels like a kid's show, like a very, very, you know, Saturday morning cartoon-ish conflict. I think Hibiki's character, you know, you also have to suspend some kind of disbelief for Hibiki to act that way towards her pets. Although that's not a huge stretch, but it does feel kind of out of place. I think that this episode is not very good at all. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. But yeah, there's so many things wrong with this. It feels wrong. It doesn't feel like an Idolmaster episode. I'm gonna have to give episode 16 an F tier. Next up, episode 17, Makoto, a True Prince. This is the Makoto episode. It's, you know, of course, it's Makoto wanting to be more feminine. It's her going to, you know, this amusement park with the producer, and then getting recognized and, you know, getting into this fight. But her fans save her. This one I like quite a bit. Although I have to admit, this is also one of those, you know, like one character episodes where not much is going on in the background. It's just kind of this one conflict. But I think this one, I like this one decently well. I like it more than Miki's episode, which was fairly similar. I think that's just mostly because the conflict this time is, it isn't as, you know, it's not as forced. And, you know, it's a more lighthearted conflict here than with Miki's. I think that this one is decent, and this might be biased on liking Makoto as a character, but I'm gonna put episode 17 into B tier. Next up, episode 18, Lots of Everything. This is the Ritsuko episode. This is Ritsuko and her past as a former idol, and, you know, an emergency forces her back onto the stage, and her old fans come back to cheer for her. I like this episode. I think that it's a pretty unique one. I think you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit about Ritsuko still being able to, perform at a decent level, or that any, idol agency would actually do this. I mean, maybe, they're still fairly small of an idol agency at this point, I guess. Although not really, because after episode 13, after the halfway point, all of the idols are fairly well known by this point. This one, I think, I really like the premise of it, even though you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit. I think the execution could have been better, mostly because I think the song they picked for Ritsuko to sing is really bad. This is just my personal opinion, but the song is like repetitive, and it's supposed to be like this, like happy, high energy sing along song. It just doesn't do it for me, and it's honestly, it's kind of cringe. I think that this would have hit a lot better if the song they picked for Ritsuko wasn't that song, or was, slightly better. I know they were going for like the high energy sing along vibe, and that's kind of Ritsuko's one of the better suited ones under that category, but she has better songs than this one. It also doesn't really show off her singing ability. I think that this one, I like it in concept. I just don't like the song they picked, but I'll give it a B tier for episode 18. Okay, up next, episode 19, Like the Moon Hiding Between the Clouds. This one is the Takane episode, with her being stalked by the paparazzi hired by Kuroi to, slander and smear 765. This one I like quite a bit, but not really because of the foreground, Takane conflict. This also includes, the beginning of Chihaya's arc, and has a lot of scenes relating to, Chihaya's past. A lot of like really well done ominous scenes. For example, Chihaya meeting her mother at the grave. Chihaya being kind of gloomy at the festival. This one, the foreground conflict with Takane is fairly well executed, I think. It's a fun episode, even if you just take that on its own. But I think the B plot of this episode, setting up for the upcoming Chihaya arc, is really the strength of it. So I'm gonna give this an A tier. Episode 20, Promise. Okay, so this is the Chihaya episode. This is the full conclusion of her arc. It's just, everyone knows that this episode. Even people who haven't watched the Idolmaster know the concert scene at the end. This is iconic. This is absolutely one of the best, plot heavy episodes in the show. This is just really emotional, really cathartic. The setup before it is incredibly well done. It's very sad, and you are just cheering so hard for Chihaya at the end of this. The integration of music into the emotional climax is absolutely ingenious, and honestly, I can't hear the song Promise without hearing the kind of car crash sounds in the background that they put into the TV version of this, which is just like, it's so powerful. It's such a powerful moment, and the music enhances it so well. This is an S tier episode for sure. It's one of the best episodes. Next, episode 21, Like a Blooming Flower, or Like a Flower Blooming. Okay, so this one is the one where Kuroi sabotages like the sound techs at this music festival, and also the one where kind of Jupiter finds out about the kind of tactics that Kuroi has been using to antagonize the 765 idols. This is also the one where At the end, Kuroi kind of gives up all of his evil plans, and they also kind of try to redeem him, which is just kind of a weird. It's kind of a strange note to try and pull off when they've showed Kuroi being like this, almost cartoonishly evil villain from all the way up to this point. I just really don't think that hits very well. There's also like an attempt at kind of a backstory with Kuroi and also the 765 president, with also Kotori singing in the bar. It tries some things that I'm not sure it should have been trying to pull this episode. The plot that it was trying to pull was kind of it's a little bit out there, because I don't really think redemption arc is the right way to treat this villain, right? So I'm gonna have to give this a D. Nothing much happens in it other than that. Jupiter being redeemed is kind of nice, but yeah, episode 21, a D. Next, episode 22, on Christmas Eve. Okay, so this is just building up now. So we're entering kind of like the final stretch, where this is just like a slow burn, where the pressure is building up for Haruka and everyone else being so busy that they can't make it to this Christmas party. I think this is a really good episode. This one kind of is just all set up. Not a lot of actual plot substance happens other than the setup, But I think that taking the time to have this build up in this episode is really, really good. They use the time that they have here well, and it pays off, tenfold in the next episodes. Unlike some of the other episodes where they were just stretching like a one episode plot out, or they were doing setup for the next arc, the next season. This one, it's like focused. You can always feel like this background ominous kind of feeling kind of creeping in slowly. It's tense without being, without trying to force it. I like this episode a lot. I think it's kind of a B tier, just because it not a ton happens in it, but it's building up. This episode is an important episode for the next few arcs, or the next few episodes, the next big finale arc. Episode 23, this is again continuation of the Haruka arc. This is kind of like the breakdown of it. This one, I think, compared to the last episode, is a little bit, it's just building up to it, It's building upon last episode's, setup. It's giving more setup. It's gonna end in this, like, it's gonna end in the producer falling into the hole. Throughout this whole episode is just building up this ominous feeling that something's gonna go wrong, and it just ends with the producer falling, and everything is wrong. Everything's broken. This is a good episode. I think the cancellation of their variety show is a big part of it. The stage show and Haruka and Miki kind of not seeing eye to eye on the stage show, that's a big part of it. It just uses all of its plot threads very well to form like this cohesive theme of Haruka being too stressed and kind of losing her way. I like this episode a lot. I think it's between A and B, I think. I think it's slightly better than the previous episode, because it's like setting everything in motion, whereas the previous episode is just like build up. But episode 23, I think it's still just gonna go in B tier. Episode 24, Dream. This is like the big conclusion to the Haruka arc. Everything that's been built up for the last 2 episodes just kind of breaks Haruka, right? And then this is just this is a big episode, and the start of this, where Haruka's on stage and doing her monologue of what is ostensibly like the stage script in the play, but is also her own feelings on her situation. I think that was really well executed. Like the cinematography, the camera angles there, just make it really theatrical. They tried really hard to make it, bigger than life, theatrical, and I love it when shows do that. Anything that has to do with like a stage performance, I get really into. I think they did a really good job, specifically with that scene, and it gives you a really good look at what Haruka's emotional state is there. I think the ending of this episode is also great, where Haruka is kind of lost her way, but throughout thinking more about it and seeing like the kids playing and singing, she kind of realizes that this is really what I want to do. And then seeing like this billboard of all of the other idols telling her to come back, that was a really big emotional high moment for me. I think this episode is really underrated. I think the Haruka arc as a whole is really underrated, because everyone loves episode 20 and the Chihaya storyline, but I think not enough people appreciate just how well executed the entire Haruka storyline was. This entire arc is just, it was built up really well, and then it nails like the climax and the ending. So I think this is an S tier episode for sure. And then last but not least, episode 25. It's the concert episode. For an idol anime, of course, the last episode, it's gonna be a concert episode. This is just like kind of Idolmaster taking a victory lap. It pulls out all the stops in animation, it's fun, everyone has fun. Although, because all of the storylines are resolved at this point, this is more of like, the epilogue than the true finale. I like this episode. It doesn't, do anything super special, but it doesn't need to. Yeah, I think this is an A for everyone, because just you can't go wrong with having a concert scene for the last episode of an idol anime. Okay, and that's gonna be it. So that's all 25 episodes of the original 2011 Idolmaster anime series ranked. Let me know if you guys have any opinions, or if you agree, disagree on anything. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll maybe see you guys next time if I decide to do anything like this again. Thanks.